I'm not sure if necessarily being innovative is that much of a priority. I mean, I don't even know how innovative what I do is. It's really, you know, it's not like I invented chords or something. They're all the same notes that everyone's got available to them. But I guess what you can do is put together the influences that you like in your own way. I certainly have never had really a strict view of what type of music I should be making, what type of song I should be writing.
Slowly rises from the groove. A record slid back in its sleeve. And carefully placed back onto the shelf. He grabs the case sitting by the door.
The earliest guitar players that I heard who were sort of related to blues music that I got right into. Ry Cooder was definitely one of those, and Roy Buchanan was another. These were records that my parents were playing in the house, so I was kind of lucky like that. It was, you know, it could have been anything, but it was Bob Dylan and Ry Cooder and Leo Kottke and Roy Buchanan. And Roy and Ry Cooder were the kind of bluesy stuff that I heard growing up, and so that's sort of stuff that goes right back to my earliest memories listening to music. There was a guy named Mick Riley who was a guitar player in Geelong. When I moved there, I started playing guitar when I was 14. I was living in Geelong at the time. I moved around a lot before then when I was younger. But teenage years were all spent in Geelong. And Mick was just a really tasty player, Telecaster player. He was one of the first people who I played with who kind of, knew how to play bluesy, blues-based music and really do it with good feel and tone, and a great guy, and he didn't mind the fact that there was this, young knob who was 17 and playing too loud, sort of, I guess, was very tolerant, or maybe recognised that I had the right intention, if not execution. Phil Manning was another fairly early on who really kind of knocked me out. He was playing solo acoustic, doing all of the ragtime picking, Blind Blake stuff and things like that, and just, that kind of band in a box approach where you got the bass lines and treble runs over the top, and again, really, lovely fella, very welcoming. And Dom Turner from the Backsliders would have been another person I saw on telly early on. It was just really good to have these people who you saw who were Australian players who could do that music justice. I feel really lucky that I got to make the Dislocation Blues record with Chris Whitley. He was someone I knew for 12 years. It's like 11 years I'd known Chris when we talked about doing that recording, and it surprised me when he suggested it, because I was doing a run of shows opening for him in the States, and he suggested straight after the first show, before he went on actually, he was standing in the corridor behind the stage. Now, he'd mentioned me guesting on an album of his before, but just due to logistics, he'd be between Germany and New York and always on the road, and I was on the other side of the world most of the time, so it didn't really work out. So I thought that was what he was suggesting. I said, hey, look, if you're ever making a recording and you feel like you need a different guitar player, I don't know why you would, but I'd be well up for it. We can find a way of making it work even if I'm in another country. And he's like, no, I'm talking about us doing a record together, the two of us, a duo record. I was like, wow, that'd be incredible.
Before too long, your wishes roasted undone. Trucks are like ants on the face of the mind.
For me, I just feel really lucky we got to do it because, I mean, he died not that long afterwards, and, I mean, the signs were there that he was sick, you know, I mean, you go, yeah, okay, it's pretty obvious. But, you know, he was undiagnosed. It's maybe like, you know, 5 months later he got diagnosed with lung cancer, and then 5 weeks after that he was gone. So, I mean, it would have been very easy for it to have been just a project that we talked about and never got to do. So, as much as it's, you know, it's sad that he's not still here, but at least we did get to do that, so that's something. It's hard to say how each record sits compared to other stuff, because I mean, I don't really sit down and listen to a bunch of my old records, heaven forbid, before I go in. It's just, you know, they're kind of done with, and you still play the material live, but it ends up changing, you know, songs end up changing and evolving slowly, sometimes rapidly. After you've recorded them, you go on and play them more, and they keep moving forward. I think you shouldn't make the same album over and over again. Definitely for me there were a few things in terms of the recording process, doing it just to analog 8-track only, and not supplementing that with extra recording, overdubbing later or something. Just whatever we're going to do, overdubs and everything has to fit onto just 8 tracks of tape, and that's, you know, ultimately it's not the sort of thing that's going to make people buy it or not, but it's a way of feeling engaged with the process and enjoying the process in a different way. I was writing much better stuff when I just didn't worry about what type of style it was and just followed wherever the song, whatever I was hearing in my head, whatever melody these lyrics were suggesting and what chords went with that melody, whatever feel they seemed to rhythmically suggest. That ended up with better material and was more fun to play, so ultimately, you know, more fun wins out over more work every time. Listening to recordings, going and seeing gigs, you know, really just digging on what other people are doing. It's probably the same reason anyone enjoys going to a gig. It's the same reason I do. It's just it takes you somewhere, it transcends the minutiae of your life, and you can actually get lifted up and you know, you're outside of worrying about the future or processing the past. You're just in that moment in concert. I think that's kind of the best way of describing that. It's when everyone's in concert. You're not just watching someone passively, everyone's involved, and I get that out of watching great performers play, for sure. Guys who sort of stand at the back of the room going, oh yeah, I could do that or something. I mean, it's really, I'm in a fan mode when I'm listening to someone play. I mean, what's not to love about seeing someone doing what they do with real fire and passion, and if it moves you, then that's what it's all about.